Merci, Giselle. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for inviting me to this very interesting conference. When I was thinking and reflecting about the conference, media facing tension and transitions in the Mediterranean, and especially our topic, perception, I was thinking after 2 years, when I reflected from my German perspective, I would say honeymoon is over. We are now facing the very realistic each other, and we are mainly becoming, we understand that there are different development in different countries, and same from the North African perspective about the illusions, what Europe should do or could do. And what I think from our Deutsche Welle point of view now, we needed to understand that we have to invest in long-term engagement out of this experience. And you mentioned my involvement in the Balkan reporting. I've been reporting for the Balkan and from the Balkan countries for 13 years. And out of this experience and regarding the development in the Mediterranean, in this part of the Mediterranean, it becomes also very important now to define the common interests and common goals we do have, but also to accept the differences. And even if we base on different cultural traditions, we also have to fight what has been already said in the morning on the framework of same standards. Because if we talk about journalism, the frameworks of professional standards is the same. And to the second part of your question, I would like to give you an insight in what conclusions Deutsche Welle has drawn out of the development in the area. Last year, almost a year ago, in February last year, we totally changed our programming, not only for this region, but in general, and we had a full relaunch of all of our programs. And I think this might inspire the discussion, because this is a different perspective from media, maybe from this area, because we transmit and broadcast from Germany. So our main aim is in bridging and to remain or to become the trusted guide from Germany. We were very much based on the principle of being a credible and reliable media. So the first conclusion was that we have to more closely interact with our audiences. And another point was we wanted, by our reform of our programs, to initiate and to enable more debates, more dialogues, and to also increase by these formats the participation. And the second important point was to address the people and to talk to them in their languages. You mentioned our Arabic program, which has been enlarged up to 10 hours now, but maybe different to other international broadcasters, we still broadcast in a lot of other languages in the Mediterranean, for example, in the Western Balkan languages, because we are convinced that if we want to be part of the dialogue and if we want to play a role in this area, we need to address the people in their languages. And a third conclusion was that, or still is, that we had to analyze and we have to meet with our audiences and our target groups on the platforms they use. So we, in many cases, changed the platforms. So we enlarged our TV presence, as has already been mentioned, not only in Arabic, but also in Spanish, which is an important language. And we very much invested in all our internet platforms, mobile devices, and social media. And we radically cut our radio presence. Unfortunately, but of course, you cannot do everything, so you have to concentrate. And another important issue for a broadcaster from Germany to be part in the discussion and the development in the media landscape in this area was to increase the partnership with media in the area, to cooperate. We have already been talking about this, to produce common talk shows, to do co-productions with partners in the Mediterranean area. Another important point was, and still is, and maybe if you have followed the programming, we very much focus on background information more than breaking news. So in-depth analysis is something we are convinced that from a German perspective could be interesting for the audiences here. And when you asked me before, what is your perspective compared to what is your audience compared to other international broadcasters, I think we are very realistic. We are not the #1 news provider, but we can add analysis, we can add in-depth reports, background information. And the last conclusion I wanted to share with you was that after the development in the Arab world, as well as in the Balkans, we understand that it needs a long-term engagement. You cannot open a program and close it after 1 year. This doesn't make sense. So it needs time and it needs patience to create this credibility and reliability and these bridges to really share with each other information and journalistic values. Last but not least, probably you know that Deutsche Welle, beside its programming, also has its own academy, Deutsche Welle Academy, where we also analyzed very closely the developments in this area, and we very much changed the cooperation in the training department and in the sector of capacity building, mainly also to long-term engagement, and we are very much in these regulatory consulting formats, and we also do long-term training programs for journalists, which has been proven to be more effective and more important than specific short-term programs. Last but not least, I would like to mention 2 concrete formats just to give you, unfortunately, it was not possible to show it on the screens. My colleague who is with me, Javad, from our Arabic program, he is one of the anchor persons for our Shabaab Talk, which has been one of our new formats, and it shows that what I have mentioned before, which seems to be proven to be effective and very, it's a very easy thing to do, and it's very effective in our audience group. It's a talk show with young people, with youth, and it's a dialogue between our partner in Egypt and in Germany. Another dialogue format and talk show we installed is the new Arab debate with Tim Sebastian, and I think it's also, for us, it was a new format because it's not only in Arabic, but it's also in English, so we can address different audiences. A second, for us, very important platform in the dialogue in the area of bridging with our German or European and Northern African or Arabic partners is the platform Cantera, which is a more, as I told you before, a more intellectual platform with intellectuals from different countries talking about burning issues, about cultural differences and cultural developments in the context of the Arab world and Europe. And it is also, and I think this is of importance, to be reflected in all parts of this partnership in different languages. So things are written and produced in German and in English and in Arabic. And so for me, this is without increasing resources, we achieved to be more present and more attractive to our audiences in this area.